talking about everyday life, a woman that relates to you. Welcome back to the Maggie Linton Show on Sirius XM Urban View.
Well, welcome back. From the time we start working, and maybe before, we should start making plans for a comfortable retirement. But most people don't. Joining us to refocus our direction is Mark Freedman. He's a certified financial planner, plus president and CEO of Freedman Financial. Mark is also radio host of Dollars and Cents, and that's SENSE. I used to host a program called Dollars and Cents, CENTS, and he's also an author. His latest is Retiring with Confidence for the Genius. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Maggie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I like the title of that show, but let's talk about you and how you got involved in, I guess it's become kind of a passion for you, huh? Certified financial planning.
Yeah, I've been doing this. Well, my father actually was one of the original financial planners in this country. He started in 1968. So it's kind of been in our family's blood for a long time, and, you know, my father's really been a big mentor to me in the fact that he kept us honest. You know, he kept us focused on the financial planning part, and it's not always just about selling someone an investment, which unfortunately has become the modus operandi for many, many people out there in trying to serve clients. We focus on financial planning first.
And that's really, it is slightly different than just getting money together.
Oh my God! It really
difference.
is.
Yeah.
It's not about just reallocating your 401k just to achieve that successful retirement. There's a lot more pieces that are involved to make this work.
Well, let's talk about some of those pieces. What's number one?
Well, number one is you need to get your financial house in order. More than anything else. When I say get your financial house in order, that doesn't mean just printing up your 401k statement or printing up a bank statement. It means building a net worth statement, having a picture on one piece of paper, doesn't have to be complicated, of everything you own minus everything you owe. Now, you may think, a lot of people think they have that under control, but sometimes it means gathering a lot of statements, finding statements that might come quarterly, monthly, and then we have to remember about all that stuff that we may maintain online. I mean, a lot of people have been setting up these E-Trade accounts or the Capital One 360 accounts or whatever it might be. You need to be sure you consolidate all that stuff. But then there's the important stuff, too, like your house. So many people seem to forget that their home, their personal residence, is an incredibly important component to helping them achieve and support their retirement. Now, I'm not saying that you go ahead and establish a reverse mortgage or something like that on your house, but that value of your house is enormously important to the big picture.
And also, it's probably the most major purchase that the average person will ever make.
It really is. And, one of the things that I continue to talk to people about is that retiring today is not like how your parents and grandparents retired.
Mm-hmm.
You think about this. 2 generations ago, if your grandparents passed away, what did they leave to your parents? Chances are it wasn't much. That's because grandma and grandpa supported their lifestyle on a Social Security and maybe a pension. And maybe they had a few $1,000s in the bank. And that was it. And when they passed away, the kids split what was ever left in the bank, if there was anything at all, and they sold their house, which might have been worth $29,900, $39,900, something like that. So there wasn't a heck of a lot of money to pass on to that next generation. Today, lifestyle is different. People have homes that are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet many retirees continue to look at that home as the place that they're going to live for the rest of their life, and that's fine, though that's not necessarily what happens in real life. But they forget about the value in that asset. And so what happens is, in addition to the home, they also build other assets, the bank accounts, investment statements, 401ks, and they look at that chunk of money and they say, well, now I need to live off the income. Well, as we all know, in the interest rate environment we live in today, it's not like the 80s. Mm-hmm. It's not like when you could get 10, 12, 14%. You're lucky to get 1 or 2. So you need to be a little bit more careful, but a little bit more, dare I say, aggressive in the way you look at your overall assets to help support your lifestyle. You see, what I oftentimes encourage people to look at is to not only think about how they're spending money today, but if they're doing it too frivolously, such that they're going to leave the next generation an enormous amount of money. And that's what we're seeing on a regular basis. Many people in their retirement years have gotten comfortable with this frivolous lifestyle. I need to be careful. I need to be careful with everything that I spend and how I use my money. And we always were told to put money aside for a rainy day. Well, you know what? Retirement is that rainy day. It's time to celebrate and enjoy it. and most people don't know how to use it successfully, and that's what retiring for the genius is all about. It's for the modern-day retiree. It's really giving them the skills, the tools, everything that they need so that they can fulfill the retirement that they truly want.
All right, you said setting up a good financial statement, understanding what all the expenses are within a year, or is it just within a month?
Well, one of the things that we do that I show in the book, it's one of the highlighted chapters, and it seems to be the most popular thing that everybody wants to talk about, is finding the answer to the question, how much do I spend every month? Because when you ask somebody that, they go, I don't know, it's too hard because something always comes up. Well, we've built this little recipe card that's in the book, Retiring for the Genius. And what you do is you follow the simple instructions to figure out how you do this every month. Here's how you do it. Number one is chances are in retirement, you probably use one and maybe two checkbooks to write all your bills. You may have lots of different expenses. Might be the electric bill, might be the cable bill, might be credit card bills, mortgages, etc. But chances are those expenses are being written out of one checkbook, maybe two. So let's assume it's one for now. So I want you to go grab your most recent monthly statements from the bank. And at the very top of that statement or at the very bottom of it is something that says total deposits and total withdrawals. Now, the bank doesn't really care how you spend your money, but what they will tell you is how much you spent for the month. So capture that number, that total withdrawal number. Now what I want you to do is I want you to find the last 5, including the one that you have. So you have a total of 6. And if you want to go back 12, that's fine too. Add up all of those total withdrawals. And let's say you've used 6 statements. Add up those 6 total withdrawal numbers, multiply it times 2. That gives you a year, and then divide it by 12. That's going to give you an average monthly amount. And initially you're going to have a strange reaction to it. You're going to say, well, that's not normal for me. This year we had to give some extra money to our kids for college, or we had to fix the boiler, or the roof broke. If you think that this is the only year when that stuff's going to happen, you're crazy. But it's built into your lifestyle. This gives you a general framework for what you're going to need on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah. I always tell people you got to have that liquidity so that you're not having to take money out of savings in order to pay for something that may crop up.
Well, that's true. There's one thing that we talk about in the book, and it's a mistake that I see so many people make, is that they look at their investment accounts as their emergency fund.
No.
And you cannot do that. You need to have an emergency fund, and you need to have a bank account that handles your day-to-day expenses. So you think about retiring with 3 buckets, if you will. One is the day-to-day expenses. There's got to be enough money in that checkbook to cover day-to-day, month-to-month expenses, probably with enough there to cover 3 months' worth of expenses just in case. And then there's the emergency fund. That's another bank account, not an investment account, not a bond fund, nothing like that. And I don't care if it earns 0% interest. It's your safety net, somewhere to turn so you can have access to money, and maybe that's equal to, say, 3 months of your expenses. That's separate. The rest of it, that's when you start to build your investment portfolio. And there's no need to go 100% into the stock market, and there's no need to use the rule of thumb that you need to have X% of dollars in bonds based upon the age that you're at. I have generally found for most people that a 50-50 stock-to-bond mix, 60-40 stock-to-bond mix works fine.
Yeah. All right, listen, we're talking with Mark Freedman. He's a certified financial planner, plus president and CEO of Freedman Financial. He's also a radio host of Dollars and Cents and an author. His latest, the one we're talking about today, is Retiring with Confidence for the Genius. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take your calls if you have any. I highly recommend you do this. And more tips on a great retirement. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.